Hello, I'm Junya Makino, a Japanese violin player. I've been actively playing contemporary music and classical music in Europe and Japan. I'd like to share you a Korean composer Isang Yun. This is going to be a series, and today, I focus on his personal history. Isang Yun was among the first composers of Asian origin to gain recognition in Europe and worldwide. From the late 1970s, he served as a professor at the Berlin University of the Arts, then in West Berlin, for about a decade, where he taught several Japanese composers who would later become internationally renowned, including Mr. Toshio Hosokawa and Mr. Masahiro Miwa. Isang Yun was born in 1970 in Tongyeong, South Korea, then under Japanese rule in South Gyeongsang Province, a coastal area near Busan known for its scenic beauty. At the age of 13, he began learning the violin and composing melodies. Hearing one of his compositions played in a local movie theater inspired him to pursue a career as a composer. However, his father strongly opposed his aspiration to become a musician. As a compromise, Yun attended a business school in Tongyeong while studying music independently. He learned harmony and counterpoint from a former military band violinist in Keijo, now Seoul, and studied scores in a local library. Unable to abandon his passion for music, he finally gained his father's permission to study in Japan under the condition that he enrolled in a business school. In 1935, he moved to Osaka and attended a business school while also studying cello, composition, and music theory at the Osaka Music Academy. At that time, educational opportunities in Korea were limited due to Japanese colonial rule. Yun's relatively affluent family opted for study in Japan, which offered better academic resources. Osaka was an ideal location for his education as it had institutions for both business and musical studies. In 1937, Yun returned to Tongyeong and began teaching at a local school while composing his first collection of children's songs, The Song of the Shepherd. In 1939, he traveled to Tokyo to further studies, where he studied counterpoint and composition under Tomojiro Ikenouchi. However, as World War II escalated in 1941, Yun returned to Korea. In 1944, he was arrested for involvement in the Korean independence movement and imprisoned for 2 months. While suffering from tuberculosis, he was hospitalized at Keijo Imperial University Hospital and remained there when Japan surrendered in August in 1945. After the war, Yun worked as a music theater in South Korea before moving to Europe in 1956 to study at the Paris Conservatory. There he encountered Olivier Messiaen, who advised him. France is a difficult place for contemporary music. You should go to Germany, where the music is more accepted. You should attend the Darmstadt summer course. Following this advice, Yu moved to Germany in 1957 and enrolled at the Berlin University of the Arts. Though he was nearly 40 years old, he studied 12-tone technique rigorously under Josef Rufer and Boris Blaha. This period marked a turning point in his career. He abandoned all previous works, including his children's songs, and focused solely on new compositions. His debut works included 5 pieces for piano, music for 7 instruments, string quartet No. 3. In 1963, Yun visited North Korea and established personal ties with Kim Il-sung, the founding leader of South Korea. However, in 1967, while residing in West Berlin, he was kidnapped by the South Korea intelligence agency and forcibly taken to Seoul as part of the East Berlin incident. So what was the East Berlin incident? During South Korea's military dictatorships, authorities increased surveillance of overseas Koreans suspected of connections with North Korea, particularly intellectuals and cultural figures. Yun's arrest. Yun was accused of espionage and ideological ties to communism due to his visits to North Korea. Detention and torture. He was imprisoned in Seoul, tortured and sentenced to death on charge of spying for North Korea. However, a massive international petition movement led by Igor Stravinsky and Herbert von Karajan pressured the South Korea government. This movement gained support from over 200 prominent artists, including Luigi Dalla Piccola, Hans Werner Henze, Heinz Holliger, Mauricio Kagel, Otto Klemperer, George Ligeti, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen. Due to this international outcry, Yun's sentence was reduced to life imprisonment, and after an appeal, he was granted a presidential pardon on February 25th in 1969. Upon his release, he was expelled from South Korea and his music was banned in his homeland. After leaving South Korea, Yun taught at the Hannover University of Music and Drama and became a West German student in 1971. He actively participated in South Korea's pro-democracy movement and composed example in memoriam Ganju in response to the Ganju Democratic Uprising. Despite political restrictions, he frequently visited North Korea, where the Isang Yun Music Festival has been held annually since 1982. In 1987, South Korea lifted the ban on his works. From 1977 to 1987, Yun served as a professor at the Berlin University of the Arts, where he taught Mr. Toshio Hosokawa, Mr. Masahiro Miwa. Notably, he was the first Asian composer in Germany to have European students in composition class. Even in his later years, he continued to mentor young composers through various composition workshops. His final orchestral work, Angel in Flames, was performed in Tokyo, but he was unable to attend due to declining health. On November 3rd, in 1995, Isang Yun passed away in Berlin due to pneumonia. Yun's life embodies a fundamental question. How does an Eastern composer engage with Western classical music traditions? Alongside composers such as Toru Takemitsu, Teizo Matsumura, and Akira Miyoshi, Isang Yun pioneered a distinct voice in contemporary classical music, one that speaks to a global audience while remaining deeply rooted in his heritage. That's all today. Next time I will introduce you about his style. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.